Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So I'm talking about top 10 reasons not to diet. I know that sounds odd, right? And to be fair, diet simply means all of the food and fluids that we consume in a day. But I think you know what I mean by the traditional diet, which is all the gimmicks in the world that are out there. And there's so many. And I am acutely aware because I started dieting in 3rd grade when I was in a competition with my sisters to see who could lose the most weight. And that was the beginning of my nightmare, at least regarding diets. I certainly had already had disordered eating from my earliest days. Like, honestly, 3 years old, fit throwing if my piece of cake wasn't as big as the other kids. 4 years old, stealing 6 packs of ice cream from the store with one of my sisters. I already had disordered eating, but actually dieting. And I continued to diet like every year from 3rd grade on, honestly. And some of them were more extreme than others. Like the grapefruit diet, the egg diet. I was technically allergic to eggs, but I consumed them anyway by hard boiling them. Just like gimmick after gimmick. And certainly Slim Fast. I remember I did Herbalife and actually got toxic poisoning. I had thousands of tiny little water blisters all over my body. I had to go to the hospital. Just like a lot of things, all with the best of intentions. And finally, when I got into Overeaters Anonymous, they don't have any diet. Like, people want to show up and say, okay, fix me, where's the diet? And they're like, you know what? It's by God's grace and what they refer to as a higher power, and that's anything for anybody, but that your higher power will reveal to you your best way of eating, which of course flips people out. But it was the first time I had freedom in my life, to be fair, and I started to call diet die with the letter T on the end, honestly. So I totally understand this, and I think there are great points in this article, which of course I will include as a description of the video. So, top 10 reasons not to diet by Francie M. Berg. Number 1, diets don't work. Dieters don't lose weight in a lasting way. Absolutely on the temporary. Everything from water weight being lost, right? But dieters don't lose weight in a lasting way. Dieting causes short-term weight loss, continuing no more than 6 months, followed by weight regain, and as we know, most people more than they lost or weighed to begin with. Often more weight is gained than lost, and studies show dieters are more likely to become overweight than people who eat normally. And of course, that's the whole thing of messing up the metabolism and stuff, right? Who knows if I had been a normie, meaning a child who just overeats occasionally, undereats at times, and generally just eats the regular amount. I believe that, dieters often become overweight compared to people who do not play that game. Okay, so number 2 is a tragic thought. Dieting can cause lasting injury and even death. And I think we know that to be true as well, right? People mess up their electrolytes. And when you're thinking about certainly individuals who end up with anorexia, again, that's kind of an electrolyte thing. It is really hard. So this says sudden death, sudden, right? From electrolyte imbalance or heart arrhythmia is a real risk, and they are not kidding. Each year, dieting is related to severe health damage and deaths in the United States. And I'm not sure how many. I'm not going to look that fact up right now, but I know it to be true. Number 3, dieting disrupts normal body processes. You think? Rapid weight loss puts the body in a stressful, defensive state. The body tries to defend itself against weight loss, decreasing metabolism, heart rate, temperature, and sexual function, as well as intellectual, emotional, and social activity. And I think that second part with the intellectual, emotional, and social activity is because so much of the energy and focus for an individual is on the diet and certainly on the deprivation, right? Like always thinking about what they're not having. And so they're not on their game. Like inevitably, you cannot be on your best game when you're obsessing about something else. Number 4, dieting causes weight cycling, which is repeated weight loss and regain. Hello. I majored in that. Not even kidding you. I've lost and gained 500 pounds in my forgive me, 100 pounds 5 times, okay, in my adult life. I totally understand that. The repeating and the gaining. So research shows that weight cycling is associated also with higher death rates. No wonder. It's so hard on your body. Oh my goodness. Like, you guys, if you've been following me at all, know that I'm doing low-fat raw vegan, largely. I'm definitely plant-based vegan. I've been trying to turn it around. I'm still gaining significant calories, for sure. So there's no deprivation there. But I honestly believe that this will be the last time that I'm playing that repetitive game. Who knows? A crisis could come about and I could freak. But for right now, I'm having a sense of a lifestyle rather than a diet. And I think that will be my best bet. So, okay. Number 5, dieters often feel tired, lightheaded, and have difficulty concentrating. And again, I think it's for that same reason. You're so busy obsessing about what you're not getting, what you can't have, that all of those things most certainly affect a mindset. But physically, they may lack essential nutrients, including high-quality iron, zinc, protein, and bottom line, just calories, right? Again, if they're doing deprivation. So it can result in tiredness and lightheadedness, etc. And I get that, and I would dare to argue or add, certainly, headaches and migraines, right? Number 6, dieting leads to binge eating, overeating, and chaotic eating patterns. Oh, I owe my body such an apology. I cannot count the number of times that I've been eating what I refer to as clean, only to go completely off my game to the point of physically hurting myself, like honestly. Like last time, I went for broke on some homemade fries, but they were fried in oil, which I hadn't had for some time. I was in so much physical pain, I did not even know my name, and talked my husband into taking me to the ER. I am not kidding you. So I totally get that. Like the binge eating, the overeating, and certainly chaotic patterns, right? Feast or famine all the time. So it says dieting disrupts normal eating. By definition, dieters override internal signals of hunger and satiety. So they may no longer know when they are hungry or when they are full. Oh, isn't that so true? Because you talk yourself out of being hungry when your body naturally is. So that's something to consider. Number 7, dieting leads to disordered eating. That's the buzz term of the day. They used to say eating disorders, but to be fair, your eating is out of order. So disordered eating, and is the primary precursor for eating disorders. So many experts believe that the high rate of eating disorders in the United States is due in part to high numbers of people restricting food and becoming chronic dieters. And yeah, I'm sure you guys know people. It's certainly me, as I suggested for years, like pretty much all of my adult life, I indicated that I was on some kind of a diet. To be fair, there was a couple of years there, and I was really at my heaviest where I just had decided, bury me in a piano, man. I don't care. I cannot lose weight. I cannot diet. I have no discipline, and I'm just going to eat, whenever. And I did that. I'd say for like maybe 5 or 7 years where I just comfortably ate whatever, whenever, oh well. And then, of course, I came out of that mindset, probably for health reasons, which I've certainly dealt with over time, and said, you know what, I just can't. And I'm sorry for that, but I totally understand that feeling of just giving up, right? It's just too hard. And I don't know if it is too hard or that we just simply do it wrong. And like I suggested, this time, eating pretty much as much fruit, as much vegetables, as much healthy fats as I want, other than my mind, which is wandering and dreaming of past food haunts, my body itself is completely content. So I know it is possible. All right, so dieting causes food preoccupation, which is what I've said several times during this, right? So people who diet spend more time thinking about food and eating. This drive to eat when food is limited is believed to be a survival trait against starvation. And you know what? In today's, certainly in the United States and for the majority of people, we have more than enough food. Lord knows, we have more than enough. But we still feel a sense of being deprived, and that can create, a mindset that says I'm starving. I mean, whether you physically are or not is another story, but there is this preoccupation with food. Now, right now, because this entire way of eating is new to me, and again, I'm referencing it as a lifestyle, not a diet, I seem preoccupied with my food because I have no choice. I don't understand it. I don't know how to make some of it. I don't know like the quantities or what things are worth. I've kind of looked into 80-10-10, which is 80% carbs, 10% fat, 10% protein, like trying to find a balance. So yes, it's a preoccupation of newness, but I believe that in time, as I've seen modeled by several successful people, they don't even think about it anymore. It's just the way it is. And for me, some of that is true because some of the food that I choose, I'm so familiar with how I prepare it or what the quantity is, I don't even need to think about it. But other things, not so much. It does take some time. And if I'm not content in my day, I start obsessing about my old comfort, which of course is food, and junk and comfort food in particular. All right, number 9, dieting diminishes women and increasingly men and children. So dieting focuses attention on appearance rather than character, talent, or personal fulfillment. And unfortunately, dieting mothers become role models for dieting children. You ain't whistling Dixie, girlfriend. Oh my gosh, I know. I've seen preteens and teens, of course. I work with that age group with eating disorders. There's no question. With fear of food, and inevitably when I meet the parent, I can see where that may have been modeled. And I'm not going to blame parents by any means, believe me not, because there are so many other sources today. Are you kidding? Kids are on the computer. Kids are exposed to constant advertisements on TV. There's magazines. There's so many things that far exceed the mother, but I do know that can be set in the home. As I said, I literally was in a competition with my siblings, and I was only 8 years old. So, I totally get it. But no, please don't even think for a moment that I'm suggesting that it's your fault or anything else. Children see everything, and because of their age and misunderstanding in life, misinterpret many things, but believe it to be true. So let's go with that for sure. But let's go back to this again. Dieting diminishes. That means to lessen or break down, right? And increasingly men and children. So I think this is so important because it suggests that it's all about appearance rather than character, talent, or personal fulfillment. And I'm so sorry for that. I'm in another support group, and this one person said her husband, wants to divorce her because she's fat. Well, not only did he know she was fat, and I don't think they were as fat certainly when they first got together, but he may very well have been part of her participation in food, but he's just over it. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm not worth anything. I'm such a slob. I'm such a pig. I have nothing to offer. Even my husband wants to leave me. And my very first thought, of course, in compassion was to say, oh my gosh, you are not your fat. You are not that temporary body right now. I mean, remember, God doesn't make junk. And remember that God made us, right? And it's our soul and what we have to offer the world that far exceeds the total commercialism of how hot your body's supposed to be. And what we learned, of course, in the last few years was so much of that was photoshopped, right? I'm so grateful for people like Cindy Crawford. Such a phenomenal model. I mean, my gosh, so amazing. And certainly a Sports Illustrated phenom and everything else. One of the top paid models of all time, right? But she literally, I'm trying to think how many kids she has, at least 2 and maybe 3. She went ahead and put on the cover of a magazine a picture of her in a bikini, non-photoshopped. And you could see her stomach was stretched out, meaning the skin from the babies that she'd given birth to. There was cellulite. She was like, you guys, this is the truth right here. Is she still beautiful? Yes. And in fact, more beautiful in some ways because of her honesty. So let's not diminish one another for a temporary state. And no matter what is temporary, because even if you're obese to your last breath, in the next life you get your perfect body. So it's all good. It's just more comfortable to let the weight go, right? Okay, number 10. Dieters put their lives on hold waiting to be thin. Oh, come on, people. How well do you relate to that? As soon as I get thin, all. Well, when I lose all my weight, then, as soon as I fit in that dress, like all the magic, all the possibilities, all the hope in the world is tied up into the number on the scale. It's so tragic, but I so get it. I mean, come on, I so get it. So instead of playing the anticipation game, so that waiting and hope game, accept and respect yourself and others. Live the life you want now. Develop a healthy lifestyle and let weight come off as a result, or not. And I love that it says or not. Because sometimes you might be exercising and you're certainly getting healthier. Your numbers are showing when you get your blood drawn and stuff, but you haven't necessarily lost that much weight. And that's an okay compromise for some people, for sure, So the weight may or may not come off, but you live one time, right? One time. And there's no dress rehearsals in life. So are you going to choose to be content and happy no matter your size, no matter your weight? And people, trust me, I'm talking to myself as well. I in no way have this mastered. I just think it's a great article and I'm happy to process it with you. So then it says, live actively, eat well, and feel good about yourself. You deserve the best right now. And I love the idea of that. I really do. I've been eating clean for about 45 days and I've had a couple of slips, but overall I've been eating really well. And the scale hasn't moved, and I'm trying to be okay with that. And what I was realizing was I just want to feel okay. When I eat this new way, and it's new to me, certainly, I just don't feel sick. I don't have the heartburn that I had. My stomach is rarely upset. I'm not having diarrhea and things. There's it's just a better way right now for me. And I need that to be enough. And as the weight loss comes or doesn't, I can rejoice in that, but mostly in honoring the planet and honoring the animals and everything else, because of course that matters to me. I just feel better. So that's why I'm largely choosing this way. All right, so thanks. I'm going to go through these really quickly again, just the titles. I hope you'll take a time to read this article, and of course I would love to know what you think. Number 1, diets don't work. Dieters don't lose weight in a lasting way. Number 2, dieting can cause lasting injury and even death. Number 3, dieting disrupts normal body processes. Number 4, dieting causes weight cycling, meaning repeated weight loss and regain. Number 5, dieters often feel tired, lightheaded, and have difficulty concentrating. Number 6, dieting leads to binge eating, overeating, and chaotic eating patterns. Number 7, dieting leads to disordered eating and is the primary precursor for eating disorders. Number 8, dieting causes food preoccupation, like that obsession. Number 9, dieting diminishes women and increasingly men and children. And number 10, dieters put their lives on hold, waiting to be thin. This is adapted from a book that's actually called The Top 10 Reasons Not to Diet. And it was Women Afraid to Eat, Breaking Free in Today's Weight-Obsessed World. And all that information is at the bottom. So anyway, I'd love to know your input. And as always, like if you like, join us if you haven't, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below how I may support you, especially in prayer. And until we talk again, my friends, go for a lifestyle rather than a diet, and know that you're blessed.